Hello everybody, I wanted to touch up on I guess a little bit of some stuff I talked about in previous videos. We're actually going to go with this 2 millimeter, 1 millimeter inner diameter, 2 millimeter outer diameter brass tubing. I use this to either make end caps for, let me show you real quick. These I need to send to Knox locks, but here is an end cap used by that threading here for a rattlesnake that could fit into pack locks, American lock, various smaller chamber 2.5 millimeter chambered locks. And I dropped it and I'll find it later. But anyways, now since that is out of the way, let me find not that, because that's got a drill bit, that's got a drill bit. Here we go. This right here is a actually an M1.2 tap. Now I use these to thread this, and how I know it's the right one is because I go right here with the screws on what would be the M15, and this pretty much goes in and out kind of easy, but you have to like twist it with the threads. But to thread these, usually I dip a little bit of Tap Magic, but what I do is I make sure that's good and tight. I insert that in and I twist the chuck and get a little bit of pressure, and it threads your inner diameter, your tubing, and you just keep going like that until you get down to a certain point. Then you back off and you make your cut of your tubing that you're going to use to make a cap. There's something else I wanted to talk about. Now, I used to use brass rod to make a lot of my rattlesnakes, but threading and making caps and putting them back on, it seems to be quicker and easier if I use like wire brad nails or wire nails. Let me see. Oh, yeah, right over here. Right here's one. Right here. Now, during the manufacturing process, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit and show you some of the imperfections. At the bottom, you'll see probably little tabs just below the head. Maybe not too well on this one, but if you put it inside your Dremel bit here, use a file, and you could pretty much take off those imperfections and remove the little stuff here. Give you a good flat surface and a good hard, solid, thin lip to get caught in either threading or undercutting. Now, with these wire brad nails, the thing about these, I usually kind of do that too because they get some imperfections during the manufacturing process, but when we get real closer, you'll see that that head is kind of big. And so what I like to do with these is I'll do the same thing, put the nail point in, expose the head, but I'm going to take this pin right here, and what I do is basically take off a lot of that excess towards the top of the nail to where it's got a good solid thin lip, and I try to remove any imperfections below the head down the shaft of the nail. And that's how I usually use these nails to make pins. And we'll back this out, maybe it'll be a little bit easier and better for you to see. Maybe. And see, this right here is actually a 3 millimeter outer diameter, 1 millimeter inner diameter that I had threaded with that same tap. And when I thread the nail, because that piece of tubing I turn basically into a nut, and then I solder it, then clean up the end process. And with these nails, given their size, I use the M13 hole, which works perfect. Now, when I do like rattlesnake key pins and I use the brass, I try to take the brass rod down to a 1.4, maybe a 1.38 millimeter. And at that point, if I can get it to thread in the M14 hole, that's what I'll use. But then I have to use, of course, the M14 tap, which is a slightly bigger tap. And what I try to do is, before I even thread that piece of brass that I've taken down to, I guess, a T-pin, instead of being a sharp flat, I try to bevel the ends a little bit to allow the threading process be a little bit easier with this, as well as screwing on the nut that you make from brass tubing. Then, of course, you solder. Remove the excess, file down, and take you a little bit of isopropyl alcohol and toothbrush, turn on your Dremel, remove all that. You get rid of the excess flux, and you're pretty much in business. I didn't want to like turn on the Dremel, make a lot of noise. I figured I'd talk through the steps, give you an idea. For those who run across this channel and this video, who have been kind of curious on how to do some of these things, I've got previous videos where I've kind of broken it down. It's I guess kind of spastic as far as it goes, but if you hang in there, you will more than likely learn something and be able to create something, you know, that you may have not been too sure or confident about prior. This is basically the end of this video. I'm going to try to set up and get some stuff prepped to where I could show magnets inside of this cutaway here, and to give people an idea of how different polarities affect each other when under spring tension with the different types of pins. It's probably going to be a little challenging to get everything to show up in the video, but I'm going to do my best. Anyways, my best to each and every one of you. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves, trying to stay sane in the crazy world we live in. My best to you all. Bye-bye.